Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for part 2 of Google Slides creating drag and drop activities. So in our first video, part 1, we kind of did an overview of the different slide decks that you're going to have to make, 2 of them put together to make a student slide deck with a background and movable pieces, and even possibly have those pieces hyperlinked to more information. So this is actually video 2. This is part 2. And what we're going to be talking about today is how to just make these movable pieces that I have here on the side. So I'm going to walk you through that. So in the last video, we created a Google slide deck and we called it Checks and Balances Digital Activity Movable Pieces 1. And so all I did was just create the slide deck. So what this slide deck is going to become is this is going to become my series of movable pieces. So I'm going to make pieces that have the different checked powers. So like the power of the president to veto, but I'm going to leave out the president. I'm going to say, power to veto, power to call laws unconstitutional. And then students are going to have to sort them into who has that power. Okay. So what I need to do is make those pieces. So I can make pieces actually in like any shape that I want to, but square is definitely the easiest. We don't have to play around that much with it. So I'm going to take my slideshow right here, my slide deck, and the first thing I'm going to do is get the right size. I want square. I don't want rectangle. You might want rectangle for some things, and that's fine, but I'm going to go with square. So I'm going to come up to File, and then I'm going to do Publish. No, I'm going to do File, and I'm going to do Page Setup. I saw the P and I got excited. So every Google presentation comes up as widescreen because that's best for viewing purposes. I'm doing designing purposes, so I'm going to actually manipulate it inside of here. So I'm going to I clicked on the widescreen, and now I'm going to click on Custom. And what I want to do is I want to create a square. So I usually do between 8 by 8 and 12 by 12. And that has to do with pixels. So I usually go 12 by 12. So I am going to create a square. And there we go. I have a square. Beautiful. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to click off. I'm going to highlight and delete the information so I have my canvas to work with. So now I'm doing a government activity. So I'm going to do a very simple white background with a blue and red border. I'm going to have an icon in the middle and text on here. There's a lot of different things that you could do though. If you wanted to have all of your pieces to have the same color background, you could do slide, change background, and change the color. I'm going to leave mine white right now so that my icons stand out a little bit better. But I want to add, like I said, a red and blue border to this. So one of the ways I add a red and blue border is I come up here to Boxes, Shapes, and I'm going to put in a square. So I kind of just eyeball it and make a square on here. So I want to make the square smaller than the actual canvas. And then I'm going to click on it and I'm going to align it. So when you have the crosshairs there, you know it's equally aligned horizontally and vertically. You could also have done arrange, center on page, horizontally and vertically, and that would have worked too. I just like to drag it and use my lines. So now I have a big gray box. How does that give me a blue and red border, right? So now I'm going to click up here on my paint, my fill color. And I am going to make the actual box transparent. So now I just have a line. And now I'm going to come to my border color right here. And I'm going to get a nice deep blue. So now I have a light blue line. And now I'm going to come here to my border weight. And I'm going to go like 12. Okay, and so there we go. I have a blue outline. I want to put in a red one too, just how I want to design it. So I'm going to click on the blue one and I'm actually going to copy and paste it and just make it a little bit smaller. And then do the same thing. I'm going to drag it until I get my crosshairs. A little trickier right now. Here we go. There we go. And so now it's fitting, it's nesting into the other one, and I'm going to go change this color to a nice deep red. So there we go. I have what I would like for my borders. I like that. It looks good. I got a nice red, white, and blue theme going here. So now I need to add my pictures, okay? What I do is I'm just going to back up 1 second. I am going to make one fully and then use that as a template for all the other ones. So I'm going to start with vetoing laws, right? Okay, so there's a different things you can do for pictures. You can obviously go to, you can go to insert or the picture thing right here, insert image. I can search the web. So I could put the word veto in here. And I could grab any of these pictures and bring them over, okay? So I could, I'll just show you how to do it. I could sit here. I don't want the one with the presidential seal because that will give it away. But I could click here and do insert. Actually has a presidential seal too. You'll get the idea. And you can put it like in here and you would line it up. That's one way to do it. I have a couple of add-ons that I use. I use Unsplash Images, which is copyright-free images. That gives me some really good pictures to work with. They don't always have what you need, so sometimes you have to be creative about it. So I'm doing veto, and it will give you things in the same kind of category. Of course, I'm having issues with loading right now. Nothing came up for veto, so I paused it for you so you didn't have to go through that. But I could go to law, and I could put like an X through these things. I also have a couple different sites that I use for icons. I like using icons with older kids. Younger kids like them too. So I have one called Icons by the Noun Project. I do pay for this one. I think it's somewhere between $30 and $40 a year. And so it gives me icons for anything. So I can put in a veto. And again, I might not get a veto. Hey, I got a no though. And this one's kind of cool. I'm going to move my head over here and show you. I can pick the color. I can pick the icon. And then I can choose the color. And I can insert it. So you can really like use the different types of colors you want to. And I could put this in here, okay? And then I could go to format options if I wanted to get a little funky and add a drop shadow to it to make it look a little bit more distinct and stand out a little bit. So that's another option. For this activity, I'm going to use another website that I know that I subscribe to. This one has free icons. So does the Noun Project. It has limited free icons. This one I pay for, I think it's $40 to $50 a year for me to have access to these icons. It's called Flat Icon. And I'm going to do the same thing. Now, I know for a fact that it doesn't have veto. So actually, I might have had veto. There we go. So I just type in veto. It did have a veto, I remember. There we go. So I'm going to click on this. And in this website, I copy it. And then I'm going to come back here. And I'm going to paste it. And so now I need to decide. So I'm working with this one right now. So I want to decide like how big I want it. Because I'm going to set a template. And I'm going to make it about kind of probably 2/3. I'm going to center it. And I think that's a good size. And so, you know, sometimes you can click the present to see how it looks. But I think that's a good size. And I'm going to put my text down here. So then the next thing that I do is I sit here. And I click on format. I click on the picture and click on format. And I go to size and rotation. And I see that the size is 7.14 for the width. So I go ahead and I'm going to lock aspect ratio. That means it's always going to be this 7.14 and 7.14. And then I go down to my speaker notes. I'm going to pop my head over again. There we go. And I'm going to put in here. So I remember when I do copying and pasting, it'll come up in my speaker notes. So I always remember the exact sizing that I'm using. So that works well. Now I'm going to put in my text. So I'm going to go ahead and take my text box. And I'm going to go like this. And remember, it's kind of hard to read. So you want to make it as big as possible. power to veto laws. So I'm writing in there what I like. Okay, so now I'm going to be doing some formatting. I'm going to highlight my words. So the first thing I'm going to do, I always like to go from left to right because I'm just that kind of person. I'm going to click the font first. This is my favorite font. I find it to be easy to read, but a little bit stylish. So I'm going to go ahead and make it Oswald. I'm going to skip over my font size right now because what I want to do is I want to come over here to my alignment, and I have two alignments. I want it in the center of the text box, and then I'm going to come back to my alignment, and I want this. I want this justified in the center, meaning however big the box gets, it's always going to stay in the actual center, both vertically and horizontally. So I pick that. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do my font. So I'm kind of going to start like around 60 and see how that looks. That's too small, right? So then I'm going to go to the highest, 96. Still too small, but what I'm also going to do is I'm going to pull this down here because this is, oh, actually that is not bad. Maybe I want to go a little bit bigger though. So even though it goes 96, you can type in as much as you want. I actually don't like that. I like 100. There we go. So now I have power to veto laws. Perfect. So that is my first one, but that's also now, it's going to allow me to make my template. So this is what I'm going to do. I like it. It looks good. This is my movable piece. So I'm going to copy it. I come over here. I copy it and I paste it. Now I'm going to come back to this top one. This top one's going to become my template. I'm going to delete out the picture. I know that I want my width down here at 7.14. I am going to put a question mark here. So that way when I copy and paste, so for my next one I'm ready to go. Here we go. When I copy and paste, my font is all ready to go. It is Oswald, it is 100, it is center justified both horizontally and vertically. And then I can just put my icon in up here. So it works out. And then if the font is too big or too small based upon the amount of words that I put in here, then you'd be able to adjust it from there. But 100 is a good place to start. So I'm going to make one more for you so you guys can see what to do. I am going to do declare laws unconstitutional. Okay, so I'm going to come back here. I'm going to double click, declare laws. Okay, I'm going to move it up just a little bit, and I might add that actually into my template later. Okay, so I put into my thing unconstitutional, and nothing came up, nor should it, right? So what I put in was this. I did Constitution. I am actually a very good speller, but not when I'm videotaping myself. And so I went through my icons and decided which Constitution I liked. And so let's go ahead and we'll just pick any one of these. We'll pick this one. And I'm going to copy it and come back here and paste it. And then what I decided to do, and again, I'm going to go through here and I'm going to do format options and see how it's lock ratio aspect, because I already set that up, which is great, except I'm going to do 7.14. So that gives me, so now I know every single one of my pictures are the same exact size. Now that might be too big because of my text. So I might want to make my text a little bit smaller than 100 so it just looks a little bit nicer, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here and I'm going to type in the word no. And this gives me, I'm going to grab, I saw one I liked before. This is cute. I like this one. I'm going to do this. I grab the no and a copy. And I come back here and I do edit, paste, and I have no. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to layer it. So I could do this, I could do it slightly off to the side. Then I could take the whole thing and justify it to the center so it looks, so it's not off kilter. And so there we go. Declares laws unconstitutional. So you're not always going to be able to find the picture that you want. So think how you could break it down. What is unconstitutional? No, and constitution. I knew I could find. And if you're using Google Images or you're using Unsplash, you can definitely find something for the Constitution. And you could definitely find something for no. So that's why I like using the icons because you can build. Okay, so now imagine that I have all of my pieces, right? All done. I have a whole bunch of pieces over here. The next step is downloading. So I showed you guys in my previous video how I like to use the slides toolbox because it will download these all at the same time. But if you don't have that or don't want to use it, you're just going to go through and it's going to take a little bit, but it's not that long. I click on the first one, I do File, Download, PNG, and I'm going to see it pop down. I'm going to click on the second one, File, Download, PNG. Okay, I'm going to do this for every single one. Now this is going to go into my Downloads folder on my computer. I would then, my next step would be to open up my folder. And I'm actually going to drag them in. And they're going to come and save in here because I want everything together. I don't want it on my computer and stuff. And then I actually, for me, I know what I would do. New folder, checks and balances, movable pieces. And I would drag them into there. And so again, I'm using checks and balances over and over again. Actually, I should make it checks and balances, digital activity, movable pieces. I'll go back and do that. And now I'm just pulling it in. Do you want to move it? Yeah. And so now I have that. And this is actually my template, so I can move this in here too. So inside my folder, I like to organize. I'm going to show you in another video adding that to the student template. So I'll show you that in another video, but there we go. That is how I create, and it gives you a lot of different options. I could do colored backgrounds, I could do picture backgrounds, I could have icons, I could have really nice photography on there, different fonts and pieces. I hope this helped everybody. Bye.